I'm Tara, and today I'm going to show you a full body application using our Famous Dave's self-tanning lotion. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks along the way so you can achieve your flawless tan. I like to work my way from the bottom up, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our feet. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with the feet. As you can see, I have a couple accessories with me. I have a cosmetic wedge. I like to use these when I'm applying lotions on my feet because it helps with precise application and it gives me a flawless tan. I also have the Famous Dave's mitt alongside that, and you can use this as well to apply the tanner to your feet, and it gives you a nice flawless application, and it is completely streak free when you use the Famous Dave's tanning mitt. Before I even start with the tanner, I like to apply a barrier lotion, and I just put this on my feet because they are a dry area of the body, and this just prevents any darker pigmentation from the tanning lotion, and it just helps to really moisturize your feet before you apply any tanner. And I definitely recommend exfoliating and moisturizing before you apply any tanner, especially to the dry areas of our body, and the feet is one of them. So I just like to apply that all over, and I definitely concentrate on my toes and the knuckles of my toes and in between. And as you can see, I'm not wearing any gloves with this application. After you apply any of our Famous Dave's self-tanners, you can just wash your hands for 30 seconds and that will totally eliminate all of the tanner and you won't be stuck with any tanned hands. Then I'm going to go ahead and start to apply my Famous Dave's lotion. So I like to get just a little bit in my hand. I get about half of a pump and I put it right on the top of my foot. And that's when I'm going to grab my cosmetic sponge and I'm just going to work that around on my foot, making sure I have a nice precise application. And if you feel like you have too much, you can go ahead and start to work it up your leg because you're going to tan that next. But once I get that worked around the top of my foot, I then start to put it right where my natural tan would be, and then I gently stroke upwards. I go right over my ankle, and then I do the inside of my foot and do the same thing. And then I take the excess that's on the sponge and I gently sweep it over each toe. And you definitely don't want to forget to get in between your toes because you don't want the webs of your feet to be white. So you go right in between there and just work that in. And the other option would be to use the Famous Dave's mitt. So if you go ahead and put the mitt on, you can just apply the lotion onto your foot like I did in the beginning and work it around, and then just make sure you brush it over each individual toe and then in between as well. And you can work with the mitt. It's super easy to use, and then just gently brush it over your ankle, not to over tan those areas. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to our legs. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get started with our leg application, but before we do, I like to put a barrier lotion on my knee because that is another dry area of our bodies, and the self-tanner can get really absorbed into that area and cause darker pigmentation and dry skin. So I go ahead and grab some of the moisture barrier and I put that on, and I like to apply a nice amount. And again, this isn't going to prevent your tanner from going through, so don't worry about that. That's just going to help you achieve a nice, smooth, golden tan instead of a really dark one. So then I'm going to go ahead and grab about 2 pumps of the tanner and I'm going to apply it to my calf, and I go on the front of my shin. And one of the things you want to do when you're applying the lotion or any of our tanners is you want to keep your fingers nice and tightly closed, and that's going to prevent streaking because when your fingers are open, that's when you're going to get the streaking effect. So you want to go ahead and keep your fingers nice and tight. And you're just going to rub in circular motions. And another way to achieve a really flawless tan with our self-tanners is if you're going to use the Famous Dave's mitt. I definitely recommend that with any of our tanners. You can go ahead and apply the lotion right to the mitt and just rub it in. But for now, I'm just showing you with my hands. So I'm keeping my hands nice and tight, and I'm applying mostly using my palms, and that's going to help prevent streaking as well. So I like to go all over the calf area with the 2 pumps of lotion, and then I bring it up on the back of my knee, and then I take any excess that's left over on my hands and gently sweep them over my knee. That's going to just apply a light tanner to the knee so you don't over tan that area. Then I'm going to grab 2 more pumps to do the thigh area, and I'm going to put them in between my fingers and work that all over on my hands, and then I'm going to apply. And again, you just want to go in big circular motions And keeping those fingers nice and tightly closed. And remember, if you are applying with your hands, if you wash your hands after application for about 30 seconds, that's going to eliminate the tanner from your skin and you won't have any self-tanner left on your hands. Now I'm going to show you how to apply to your back using our Famous Dave's back applicator. Alright, so before we start the back application, I wanted to show you our Famous Dave's back applicator. This back applicator is really nice to use when you're using our lotions or any of our products because it extends all the way down and it helps you reach the middle parts of your back, and it also has an extra extender if you pull down on the bottom, and then you can go ahead and reach all the way to your lower back and all the way up. So I'm going to use this for our back application today, and I'm going to just go ahead and close the extension, and I'm going to apply a pump to the pad, and these are reusable pads. You can cleanse them off every time that you use them, and I'm going to go ahead and apply a pump to the pad. So you see the pump I have there, and I'm going to go ahead and do my upper back. And I'm going to apply that right there. And that's the hardest to reach area, I think, for most people. And this applicator just really helps with any of that application process. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it all around the back upper part. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my hands and apply some tanner to the back of my neck. So I'm going to grab a pump and I'm going to go ahead and disperse that in between my fingers and apply it right to the back of my neck. And I'm keeping my fingers nice and tightly closed to prevent streaking. And you can go ahead and bring that around because you're going to tan the front of your body anyway. And then you can go ahead and rub that on your shoulders as well and get any areas that you didn't use the back applicator on. And just rub those in. And there you have it. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to our neck and chest. For this application, I'm going to be using the Famous Dave's mitt. I like to use the mitt when I want a streak-free flawless tan every time, so I definitely recommend it. I'm going to go ahead and apply 2 pumps into the mitt and start on my neck. And I'm going to go ahead and apply in a circular motion. And you can work your way right behind your ears as well, because you definitely don't want to leave those areas out. And you can go right up to your jawline. If you don't plan on tanning your face, you can make a nice precise line right there. And go right behind your ears. And then with any of the excess from the first 2 pumps, you can brush right over your ears. And you definitely don't want to leave those out because you don't want to have stark white ears. You definitely want those to be tanned as well. So just go ahead and apply that right over the ear. And that's just going to be the excess tanner, so you're not going to have to worry about any over application there. Then I'm going to grab a couple more pumps for the chest area. And again, I'm just going to apply that in a circular motion and work that way around, getting all the areas. And you can go ahead and do the tops of your shoulders as well. And you can switch hands as well. And this has a barrier inside, so you're not going to get any of the lotion on your hands. So you won't have to worry about having any tanned hands or fingers. Alright, and if you're foregoing the mitt, I would definitely recommend keeping your fingers nice and tight when applying to the neck, and using circular motions as well to blend in your lotion. And you can sweep upwards and use your palms mostly, and that's going to prevent any streaking. Now I'm going to show you how to apply to your arms. Before we get started with the arms, there's a couple of dry spots that I've come to find with self-tanning on my own, and that is going to be right in front of your underarms and on the back side as well. So I like to apply my barrier lotion there, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit and put it between my fingers and going ahead and apply that to those areas, and that'll prevent any of the darker pigmentation from the tanner from happening. And then of course your elbows. I definitely recommend exfoliating your elbows and applying a moisturizer and then topping it off with a barrier lotion as well. So I go ahead and put that right onto my elbows on either side. And then I'm going to go in with 1 pump of the tanner, and I will show you how I work it into my arms. So I'm applying that to my fingertips, and I'm going to go ahead and put it all the way down my arm, and then I'm going to start to work it in a circular motion. keeping my fingers nice and tightly closed to prevent streaking. And I like to go right onto the top of my arm with that one pump of lotion. And then you can do longer strokes and make sure that you're keeping your fingers nice and tightly closed, and you can use your palm as well. And that's really going to prevent any streaking from happening. And so on the underside of your arm, this is really a preference. I like to use one pump because naturally we're a little less tan on that side, but it's up to you if you want to use two pumps. So it's the same exact color as the top of your arm. That's your preference. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one pump and apply it. And I'm keeping my fingers nice and tight again. And I'm going to go ahead and bring it up onto my shoulder area and just work it around. And I take it right to my wrists. And I'm going to show you how to tan your hands as well. And you just work that in until you feel the lotion start to dry. And that's exactly how I'm going to apply the tanner to my other arm. Just working that in and keeping my fingers nice and tightly closed. I'm going to grab another pump for the underside of my arm. And don't forget, you can wash your hands as well. Or if you choose, you could wear gloves. And I like to use powder-free gloves so you don't have any residue left on your hands. So I use powder-free, latex-free. Alright, and that should do it for your arms. Now I'm going to show you how I like to apply my tanner to my hands. So before we start our hands, I like to apply a barrier lotion again on the dry areas, which are going to be your knuckle areas right around here on each finger and right here. You can get some darker pigmentation if you're not careful, and I've definitely already cleansed and exfoliated my skin there, so I'm going to go ahead and apply that barrier lotion. And I like to use a thick amount of lotion on my hands just because I don't want them to be super duper tan. So I apply that all over and in between each finger as well. And don't worry, your tanner is still definitely going to work through this barrier lotion and give you a nice natural looking tan. And I have my cosmetic sponge again, and I like to use these because these go really well in between each finger too. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the tanner to the top of my hand, and I grab about a half a pump and I put it right there on top of my hand. Then I'm going to take the cosmetic sponge and I'm just going to work it around on my hand. Go in a circular motion, and you can start to sweep any excess product onto your arm because you're going to tan those as well if you feel like you have too much. And then go over each finger with the excess product, and then you can take the sponge and kind of outline where your natural tan would go on either side of your hand to make it nice and natural. And you can go ahead and flip it over and do your wrist as well. And I like to bend my wrist while I'm doing that so it gets the tanner into the creases and they're nice and tan and there's no whiteness to them. Then I just sweep the product over each finger, and then I take it in between as well. And don't forget, if you have a manicure, you can go ahead and wipe off each nail so your cuticles don't have a tan to them. And just gently rub that tanner in. And that should do it. Lastly, I'm going to show you how to apply it to your face. Before we get started on the face, I like to apply a barrier lotion to my eyebrows and my hairline. And even before that, I like to apply a lip balm to my lips to prevent them from getting any tanner on them. So go ahead and apply that. Then I'm going to grab my barrier lotion and apply that to my eyebrows and my hairline. And you can just sweep that right across the hair. And then I like to put it right along the hairline and push it up into the hair. And that'll prevent the hairs from getting tanner in them and causing any pigmentation. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab one pump of my favorite Famous Dave's tanner. And I like to use the Famous Dave's daily on my face because I exfoliate often and that keeps my glow going. So I'm going to start on the outside of my face and keep my fingertips nice and closed, tightly closed, and go in circular motions. And then once the lotion starts to work its way in, I'm going to use the excess and go over the middle of my face, and my nose area, and my chin, and my upper lip, and use nice sweeping motions. And then to really make sure that you're not going to get any streaking, I like to use my palms and just go in an upwards motion. And if you have our famous Dave's mitt, that's really going to help with the application for the face because you can just sweep the product right over your face with the mitt. And then I'm going to grab about half a pump to do my forehead. And I'm going to work that in. Down the bridge of my nose. And don't forget the temples. And you can take the tanner right up into your hairline as well. Since you have that barrier there, you won't have to worry about any tanner getting in that area. And if you have tanned your neck, then you already took it up to your jawline, and you can go ahead and take some tanner, sweep it across the jawline. And that should do it. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps you achieve your flawless tan using our famous Dave's self-tanning lotions.